Welcome back to Beat Skematix. I am Joe Hanley, and this is part 3 of Jay-Z's Empire State of Mind. In the first 2 parts, we did drums and bass and a brass layer and a lo-fi piano, and now we're moving on to the next parts. Again, all the files, the Reason session and the MIDI files are available to download at www.joehanleymusic.com/beatschematics. And again, you don't need Reason to follow along. I'm not going to be using anything unique to the program, so if you've used Logic or Ableton or some other software, you'll be able to follow along just fine. Here we go. Next is white noise. Now, on that piano sound on the record, it sounds like it has a lot more sort of fuzz to it, like a lot of s to it than mine does. And for the life of me, I couldn't get the distortion I was using to generate that. I even tried adding the other distortion unit, and I still couldn't get that high noise like on the record. So I'm just gonna add a layer of white noise. So you bring up, for this synth, it has actually a noise oscillator. If you don't have that, you can probably find a noise sample and just load it into a sampler. It should be pretty easy to find noise somewhere in your software, or at least online. We then put a high pass filter on it. So we're gonna take out some of the lows, because right now it would fill up a lot of space, and we don't want to do that. So we're gonna bring the frequency up to 4.41 kilohertz. We're also gonna bring the resonance up, down. Sort of really brings out that set we're looking for. And then we just need to shape the amp envelope so it's the same as the piano. You want it to just blend in. It's supposed to be part of the piano, not a separate sound. So the amp attack, very short, 1.2. The decay is going to be 4.93. And the sustain is going to be negative 44.5 decibels. And let's see, the release is going to be 1.5 seconds. So there is your white noise. Now, doesn't matter what key you use on the keyboard to play it. You could use a drum pad, whatever. Doesn't matter, because white noise is all notes, so it doesn't change pitch when you play different keys. So here we go. And you're going to play the same rhythm as the piano lo-fi we just recorded, because we're adding to that. Okay. Oh, cut it. Bit. Okay, next is the other piano. The piano that's up high. I'm actually starting with the same sample as I used for the lo-fi piano. But obviously I'm not going to rip it apart. In fact, I'm not going to do anything to it other than add a big, spacious reverb. So it sounds like it's kind of in a hall. And that is with this guy. And unlike the previous reverb that I used back on the snare drum, I'm not cutting out any of the lows, because I actually want it to sound like it's in a hall. I'm using a hall reverb and leaving the lows in, so it's just this big, spacious piano. And I have it set up as a send effect through this mixer. As you can see here, I've got this send level up to 75. It's, it's about halfway up the dial. And the part, just 2 chords. First one is, it's like a B major 7 without the root, because the bass is playing B here. So you got a D sharp, F sharp, A sharp. Same thing with the right hand. D sharp, F sharp, A sharp. You play that. Bum, 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 bum. And then you just move down the D sharps in this chord to C sharp. Down to there. Now you're left with like an F sharp major chord. C sharp, F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, F sharp, A sharp. Same rhythm. And that's as easy as that. Cut it, loop it. There's just one more thing we have to do with the piano, and that is a pair of C sharps way low. And it plays it along with the bass. Just listen here and you'll see where it comes in. Maybe a little quiet. Listen again right here. Right here. It's really subtle, but it's there. And it, it just brings out that C sharp, because that C sharp for the bass isn't being played by the brass like all of its other notes. So it needed something to bring it out. I'm assuming that's why he put it there, so you could really hear that C sharp a little bit better. So our last instrument is strings. Just a single line up high. You want to look for orchestral strings, not like a solo violin or anything like that. A full string. And it should actually be sort of a thinner one. It's just that little thing up high. It doesn't need to be this big, thick thing. Something like that. And it's a little synthy his, so it doesn't have to be super realistic, super nice orchestral string. This is just a basic Reason factory sample, as are pretty much all these samples I've used, by the way, today. The only adjustment I wanted to make to this was I took the filter frequency and I brought it down. A lot of times with these sort of cheaper string samples, you get this sort of like noise in there. Here's it without it. Here's it with it. It's subtle, but bringing that filter frequency down, it takes a little of the kind of the digital cheapness out of it. Now the part starts on an A sharp to G sharp, back to A sharp, and then pitch bend down, and then play G sharp again while the pitch bend is still down, which means it'll actually be an F sharp, and then you're back to there. So here's it one more time. Bending. So as you saw on that keyboard, I played G sharp at the end, but really it was sounding F sharp because I still had the pitch bend wheel down. And obviously you want the pitch bend to be bending the note one whole step down. Alright, here we go. Now the only thing left to do is a little more mixing and some basic master.